Welcome back to Sign On WS Radio's Business Networking Radio with your host, Jesse Lipscomb.
And welcome back to Business Networking Radio right here on WSRadio.com. I'm your host, Jesse Lipscomb. Got a great show today. Joined in studio with my co-host, Jeff Ensign. And we're talking tax talk today. 7.5 powerful strategies used by the wealthy. And my partnership with the Gradient Tax Team. It's a nationwide team of CPAs that have a focus on retirement planning. So basically they provide the tax advice, and I provide the financial and retirement advice.
Perfect team.
Yeah, I think it works out great. And in this segment, we're specifically talking about strategy number 2, getting a second opinion. Okay. What is the largest cost of saving and investing?
Oh, I know this. Taxes.
That's right. In other words, what is the biggest enemy to the creation of wealth?
Taxes.
If, you think about it, the more you make, the more they take. Mm-hmm. And so the more you can reduce the negative impacts of taxation, the more you'll keep.
Yeah. It's the old saying, isn't there an old saying like it's not what you make, it's what you keep?
Absolutely.
And this is right into that.
Whether it's business or retirement planning, that's the name of the game. Mm-hmm. So if your doctor told you needed a major surgery, would you get a second opinion?
Of course I would.
Of course. Well, every year someone operates on your 1040, your federal tax return, but most people don't get a second opinion. And unfortunately, a lot of people try to be cheap by doing it either themselves or getting a chain tax preparer to do it, and maybe it's $50, whatever. However, there's a difference between being cheap and being frugal.
Right.
Having a CPA firm that specializes in tax preparation and looking at opportunities for retirement planning, to me, that's how a professional does things. Okay. Have you ever seen a tax form from 1913?
No, but I hear they are very, very simple.
It was pretty simple. In fact, do you know what the highest tax bracket was back then?
Right when it started? No, I know at one point in our history we got up to 90%, didn't we?
Well, yeah, but before that insanity, it was 6%. If you made over $500,000, it was 6% of that amount.
Oh my God.
Okay. With that, there were 30,000 words in the tax code back then. Do you know how many words are in the tax code now?
A few more.
Couple. I mean, we're talking 500 million plus words.
Oh my God.
It's impossible. It's impossible for somebody that does taxes 3 months out of the year to be an expert in tax.
No, they'll never know.
But we got good news. There's a new super simple 1040 for tax year 2010.
Really?
All you got to do is, how much money did you make? Great. Send it in. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. According to Einstein, the hardest thing in the world to understand is the income tax. Huh. That makes a lot of sense. Albert Einstein, one of the smartest persons ever to live, thought that taxation was one of the hardest things to understand.
Huh. Really?
So,
interesting.
It makes sense why most people struggle with that. Just like we did in the last segment about the questions to ask your financial advisor, there are several questions you want to ask to have your, whoever does your taxes. Number one, who's preparing your taxes?
That's a big one. You could go to a firm, and you may be talking to the chief partner of the firm.
Yep.
He's not doing your taxes probably. You probably have I shouldn't say probably. You may have someone who's just hired for the season doing your tax return.
It's like you go to a law firm and the paralegal is doing more of the work than the attorney is.
Yeah. But you got to pay the full price, right?
Absolutely. With that, what is my overall tax plan? Well, the last word there, plan. Most people don't do tax planning.
No.
I think one of the most important things you should do with your financial and tax strategies is in October, November, you sit down with your tax preparer and you do a quick review of your prior year tax. Just say, okay, well, what do you think my tax liability is going to be? And then you start strategizing ways to reduce your overall tax bill for the current year.
Right. More.
And the next year.
Keep more, yeah.
Okay. When should you make changes? How do I know that the changes have been made? And who's going to help me with all this? These are all very important questions you got to ask yourself so that you can turn around and ask your tax preparer and CPA, look, how are you being charged? Are you going to get a flat fee? Are you going to charge me a percentage of my return? Which would be horrible.
Yeah, I didn't know they did that.
Participating
but I guess
returns, that wouldn't be good. Okay. Who's going to prepare it? Is it going to be you or your assistant? Do you do this full time?
That's a big one. You want someone with that 50 million words a tax return?
500 million words.
500 million. I'm sorry. You better have someone who does it full time.
And again, along with that, are you actually preparing it, or are you going to pawn it off to somebody else? And are you in good standing? CPAs are licensed.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't have a history of complaints. Now, Jeff, what percentage of tax returns have errors on them?
I'm going to say it's probably pretty high. 70%?
Last year, H&R Block professionals found out that there were errors in 4 or 5 tax returns.
Wow, 80%. Holy smokes.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Again,
oh my gosh.
with my partnership with Gradient Tax, I've got a whole team of CPAs, full-time experts, reviewing, analyzing. A lot of people do their taxes themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that, I guess. But if you're trying to maximize the deductions you're going to get in your taxes, having a CPA firm review it's probably a good idea. And with that, I mean, it's ridiculously inexpensive, $30 to have a review.
Really?
Yeah.
To double check everything? Oh, wow.
Absolutely. And
That's
in
a
fact,
no-brainer.
According to the General Accounting Office study, chain preparers made serious errors, which turned out to be very costly for the taxpayer. Well, why is that important? Because it goes back to the need to make sure you get a second opinion and good advice.
Yeah, you absolutely need that.
Okay. I think most of us will figure we'll get the best possible outcome by having professionals do our taxes. It's counterintuitive that professionals could actually make you worse off. You'd think that's sound sage advice from Jesse Lipscomb. In fact, that was Chuck Grassi, who was a Senate Finance Committee chairman in April 1st of 2003. But it makes sense.
Right.
Let's get professionals to do it. Now, would it be worthwhile to have a team of CPAs review your tax returns for errors and help you get additional money?
Yeah, of course it would.
Yeah, pretty good. Plus, the fact that for $30, they're going to review it, see if there's the errors, and then you keep all the money if there's an opportunity. You don't split the money that they find with you.
Right. Yeah, okay. $30. I mean, just think of what that is. That's $1 a day.
And in a month. With these tax returns, Jeff, we're going to review for errors, we're going to review for missed deductions, missed tax credits, and give you a proactive tax plan. Okay? And when we meet, we want to make sure you've got the last 3 tax returns, any related tax documents. You've been listening to Business Networking Radio right here at WSRadio.com, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.